I'm joined now by Pip Tomson, who's been at the COVID inquiry all day. A dramatic day. Pip, it started with some jeers from protesters. There was even some tears from Boris Johnson. What were the highlights for you?
When Boris Johnson was Prime Minister.
Good afternoon, Martin. Well, there could be another highlight in just a moment because we are expecting Boris Johnson to emerge from the building any moment now. There is a wall of media waiting for him, as well as many people representing the bereaved. Boris Johnson avoided them at 7 o'clock this morning when he arrived, but he's not going to be able to dodge them, I don't think, when he leaves from the front of the building any minute now. He gave some 6 hours of evidence to the inquiry today, and in the last hour or so, as I think you've just been talking about, he was questioned by inquiry lawyer Hugo Casey about the culture in number 10, and he's very much tried to defend it, saying it was occasionally argumentative, but that was no bad thing, and there needed to be an atmosphere where people felt able to say controversial things. He said these claims of toxicity, misogyny, God complex, none of those things were put to him in the way that Hugo Keith did. Just listen to this exchange.
Nobody came to me and said this is, this is people have got God complexes and internecine warfare going on here. What I saw was a country that needed continuous, urgent action, and it needed solutions to be found. And what I wanted were meetings in which people could speak their minds without fear of being embarrassed or being seen to say something foolish. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, why I sometimes spoke bluntly and freely in meetings. I wanted to give everybody cover to do the same. I wanted people to feel that they could, if they had an idea, then I wanted to hear it.
Concerns.
Before the inquiry wrapped up for the day, he was also pushed on the former Health Secretary Matt Hancock, and he was asked about all those people warning and urging him to sack him in summer 2020, and he was asked about why he wanted to keep him. And Boris Johnson very clearly said that Matt Hancock, he believed, was doing a good job in very difficult circumstances, and there was no advantage to moving him as he was urged to do. He's also been talking about the timing of lockdown, and he says that when the decision was finally made, he was out of time, there was no wriggle room left, so that home order came in on Monday, March the 23rd. And as you alluded to, Martin, he did get a little bit emotional this morning when he was talking about the many, many lives lost during the pandemic, visibly so. He had to pause to compose himself, and watching on were, in the inquiry room, families of the bereaved. Several of them had to be ejected first thing this morning when Boris Johnson apologised to the inquiry and said he was deeply sorry for the pain and the loss of suffering of the victims and their families. I've been speaking to a few during today. Are they convinced that anything the former Prime Minister had to say? Just take a listen.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get in there, and there's not enough seats for the families that should be centre stage, so we're really not happy about that. But what's been said and stuff we've seen on our phones, he's just talking a load of mumbo-jumbo, like he normally does, saying he can't remember this, he can't remember that. He doesn't agree with the figures of the amount of people that's died. Where's he getting his figures from? And it's only what I expected, to be honest, because he's lied all the way through, and he'll lie in there and try and talk his way out of it like he always does.
It's easy to say, I can't remember. It's easy to say, let's blame it on somebody else, because that's what it's been so far. Everybody's passing the buck. The other week it was Matt Hancock saying, well, he told the Prime Minister this and he told the Prime Minister that. And now you've got Boris Johnson in there who can't remember half the things that he's supposed to have said, or he's passing it on to somebody else now.
Obviously, there is a very
So many of the people here remain unconvinced by what he has said to the inquiry during today, not impressed by his answers. But I have to say, Martin, watching him for all these hours today, he was a lot less combative and punchy, really, than I expected. And there was quite a few times where he did say he couldn't remember. There will be more from the former Prime Minister tomorrow, and we'll bring it you here, of course, on GB News.